Good morning, people, fellow humans, HUEMONDS, colorful nuts. And that's probably a good way to think of ourselves. We don't take ourselves too seriously in the things we do. But my name is Edward Bevilacqua. We are here at Department of Career Services, where our goal is to help you from where you are, getting where you are to someplace better, from point A to point B, from someday I'll, yes, rock and roll quotes, to Successlandia. That's it. What we do is no big deal, but it actually is a big deal for you. And so good morning, Watabevi, and good morning, alternate voice. Good morning. So remember, Matt, everybody needs to be ready before 7:30. I expect to be there right around 7:30 to pick up the other people for breakfast. So if you could have the stone ballers make sure the other people are ready to go, because unfortunately you're not quite ready to go to the breakfast where you can sit there quietly and only contribute when appropriate. You're not quite there yet, but you're making good progress. So don't feel bad. Just if you can help make sure that people are ready to go by 7:30. And when you do your UAs, you need to put them in the refrigerator. You need to fill out the paperwork, do it, put it in the refrigerator because it needs to stay fresh. So you're going to need to do another one today because it sat out all day yesterday. And then you have to be prepared to do one tonight because I have to bring it to Lost Wages tomorrow. Boom. Okay, good, cool, great. All right, so let's move on, get on with our daily thing. The theme of today is what if you did believe? Yesterday was what if you didn't believe? What if you did believe? I gotta update this part of the worksheet too. The header, very important. Don't ask me why, but it is. Okay. All right, so our theme of today, the meme, the idea that spreads from brain to brain, is what if you did believe? And the things associated with that are, number one, the Darren Hardy video down below. Highly, highly, highly encourage you to watch that. The other thing is the Seth Godin. That is highlighted in red. Where's that? No, I take that back. What if you did believe? And the Jordan Peterson one. Right. Also, the advice from an 80-year-old. So we'll get to that in a second. And then under daily theme, there is a link that says hello. Okay, so those three things. So what if you did believe? Now, what do we mean by believe? So that's a Jordan Peterson question. What do you mean by believe? Think that it's true. Okay, very simply, what if you thought it was true? So over the last 2 days, Darren Hardy has talked about our beliefs, and it fits in with our neuroscience-oriented approach to success on week 3, which is our beliefs trigger the release of neurotransmitters, which causes us to feel in particular ways. Our feelings affect our behavior affects the outcome reinforces our belief. So you start with the belief that there's a monster under your bed or in your closet, or there's a vampire outside. And then you hear a sound that you think comes from under your bed or in your closet, or it's the leaves of the tree next door, the tree outside scraping up against your the building because of the wind. And that immediately, because of your RAS, triggers the release of neurochemicals, neurotransmitters like cortisol and adrenaline that mixed with the belief, oh, there's a vampire outside my window. I just heard a scratching on the wall, maybe trying to open the window, and you get a massive amount of cortisol and probably adrenaline and other things, and you are instantaneously fearful. Right? Okay, that's how it works, and it works the opposite way too. Calling your sponsor and feeling better. You have a belief, something triggers it. I need a drink. I need alcohol. I need a drink, and probably not a conscious trigger. And then all of a sudden release massive amounts of dopamine, getting you to want to drink. But I remember, call my sponsor, so I can just non-consciously get something to drink, go into habit mode, where I've got an ample store of excuses of why it's okay to drink or just to automatically do it. But wait a second, I have another belief that if I call my sponsor or go to a meeting, it's going to be better. And then what happens is I hear my sponsor's voice, or I'm dialing the phone, I'm starting to feel better. I'm thinking about projecting being at the meeting and how good I feel. And all of a sudden I get a release of oxytocin, which turns off the dopamine. So I've got more oxytocin coming in, less dopamine. My need to drink goes down, and I get a feeling of goodness. And I might have to go to a meeting, but I might just imagine I go to a meeting. It's all about releasing the neurotransmitters. So it's about beliefs. So Darren Hardy today is part 2 on the importance of beliefs. And he's basically saying it doesn't matter whether your belief is true. If you think you're a field marshal and that makes you more useful, or it's helpful to you to believe that, good. As long as it doesn't hurt other people, good. As long as it doesn't interfere with other people's behavior or ability to do things, good. If it's useful. And so he'll give an example. If believing in Santa Claus is useful to get you to be a good person, keep that belief. If believing in the tooth fairy is good to get you to feel better about having, a piece of your skull ripped out of your head and leaving a gaping hole and blood and everything, if that's what you need to do, believing there's a tooth fairy and you'll get a reward, good. Control your beliefs. So that's Darren Hardy for today. Your beliefs. So examine your beliefs. So the first thing is examine your beliefs, and he talks about that as well. Look for the beliefs, be aware, have this little alarm inside you go off every time a belief pops up, and ask yourself, is that a useful belief? And if the answer is no, replace it with a better belief. One way to do that, one hack to do that often is to add the word yet. So in the old days when we had a classroom and people were there busy typing and they're making mistakes, you could have a belief that I suck at typing. A lot of people do. My fingers are I can't move them. They're too fat. They're blah, 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 blah. Every excuse in the world why they can't type. One easy way to obtain a growth mindset, Carol Dweck, Duckworth et al., is to add the word yet. I can't type yet. Okay, so for Matt it would be, I can't go to breakfast, man. Or I can't go to breakfast yet. If you say, I can't go to breakfast yet, that sets an expectation that one day you will be able to go to the breakfast, because you'll be able to sit there and be somebody who is productive, not a distraction. Not jumping up in the middle, walking out, eating with bad manners, talking about things that are totally off point. So instead of saying they hate me, they would rather stick a knife in me, they have a thing of, I don't get to go to breakfast yet. And that's a thing that all kids are taught. If their dad's a business guy, it's like, no, you can't go yet. You're not ready. Not ready to go to the business meeting yet. So beliefs are important. And under daily theme, the Hallow video is a 20-minute imaginative prayer type of thing, really putting you into a couple scenes in the gospel. Judas Iscariot dealing with Jesus, Peter dealing with Jesus, can take you really in and kind of frame certain beliefs that you could have. And I think if you believe in the story, it will have a profound impact on you. So that's highly worth watching. Advice from an 80-year-old. Here's a belief. Loosen up. So all of the advice from 80-year-olds are beliefs. That's all they are. And if we apply Darren Hardy, it's if it's a useful belief, go with it. But it's still a belief. It doesn't mean it's objectively true. However, it doesn't matter whether it's objectively true. If it's useful, if it's helpful, go with it. So loosen up, relax. Except for rare life and death matters, nothing is important as it first seems. So sometimes, I wouldn't say often, but sometimes I will say, what's the big deal? It's only life, right? That's kind of a Tony Robbins getting you to focus, because it's only life should mean it's a big deal, right? It should be a big deal. Life should be a big deal. So when you say, what's the big deal? It's only life. And you say it in a way that sounds sincere and genuine, not sarcastic, people will tend to stop, bracket, wait a second. Yeah, let's get perspective on this thing. This isn't, we don't need to get histrionic about it. Right? Okay, so back to our worksheet. Wait, how are we doing for time? 11:50. We've got about 2 minutes. Okay, let's get to Seth Godin. The worst person on our team. So this is an answer to Matt's question, to Alternative Voices' question. What do you do with these breakfasts? Why don't I get to go? Is it worthwhile? Am I missing anything? This is called the worst person on our team. A common shortcut to cultural divisiveness is to find the single worst person in a different group and highlight and attack their behavior. Note, Republicans against Biden, Democrats against Trump. By making it clear and obvious that this is what they, the plural, want and who they are, it's easy to walk away from a larger we. So this gets to Father Boyle's discussion about there is no us and them, there's only we, there's only us. Their worst troll becomes their mascot. Okay, so you pick President Trump, point out his negative characteristics, and then he becomes the mascot for all Republicans. Then it's easy to hate them. And in a media-fueled culture that thrives on division, this is a convenient shortcut. In other words, we don't have to talk about all of the issues. We just take one person, use them as the example, the mascot, and then that represents all of those people. Okay, that's a convenient shortcut. What happens, though, if we find the worst person on our team and tell them to chill out a bit? The people like us don't do things like that. That their trollish, extreme behaviors magnifying differences instead of making it more likely we end up with useful cultural cohesion. Okay, so this is now advice. What happens, though, if we find the worst person on our team and tell them to chill out? The people like us don't do things like that. So that would be saying, Matt, people like us don't just get up and walk, just spontaneously get up, draw everybody's attention, and then start prancing around the room, walk out the door, come back in, make comments about things totally off the subject. People like us don't do things like that. That their trollish, extreme behaviors magnifying differences instead of making us more likely to end up with useful cultural cohesion. So we're trying to be volunteers helping the churches who are supporting the government to make the lives better for our orphans and widows. That's what we're trying to do. So anything that's not that is creating differences, not cohesion. It's surprising how much the outlier is willing to listen to the very people they're counting on for support. Good. And the folks you seek to win over are much more likely to give you the benefit of the doubt if you have a history of discouraging bad behavior. Right. So in other words, we have to be consistent. It doesn't matter if we're talking about politicians, sports fans, entrepreneurs, or activists. More extreme division is unlikely to sell our idea and gain support we're looking for. Okay, so we want cohesion, we want unity, we want to focus on how do we solve the problems of our orphans and widows. And alternative voice can be very helpful in that because alternative voice, Matt, is astute when he applies his mind to it. But anyway, so that's where we at. 6:16, time to go. Water baby. Okay. See, there you go. There's a belief. So there's a belief. Matt brings up a belief. I'm a master troll. That's a belief. Is it helpful? No, it's not helpful. That's not helpful. What would be helpful is I'm a guy who's there if somebody has a need. Right? I've never heard Matt say, I'm too busy. At least there's consistency. So that could be a thing. So if I'm a master troll, I'm consistent. I'm consistently there. I will always be there. And then turn that, move it forward. Okay, so with that, we're going to say thank you, people, for being there. Matt, remind the people in 1409, these are Mando, if they want to be in our program. These podcasts are Mando. They don't have to be watching it live. They just have to watch it during the day. Because I think next week we're going to be at Honeysuckle and people are going to have Chromebooks and they're going to have to do the worksheets. So it's a lot easier, better if you start doing it now. All right. And so with that, how is your day so far in Virginia? Sophie, how are things? Did you get any prices, any informazione on airplane tickets? Send me a text, please. And with that, I will say Shivas and Shalom. Scotch and peace.